What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley predicts Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence, that ninth round, Spence getting knocked out, maybe the 11th. That's it. Let me counterpunch. This fight will be a fight of skill, will, and I don't think size will have a lot to do with it. Terence is a little smaller because, Errol Spence is a big boned cat. I think I can see Errol Spence filling up and being more or successful in higher weight classes, right? But like where Terence, I think Terence is perfect where he's at. I think it's a combination of his size versus the size where he was. And you can tell when someone's successful and that weight fits them because of their activity. See, Terence has knocked out everyone in the welterweight division. I mean, everyone he's fought, he's stopped. Well, he made Amir Khan quit, but it's still a TKO. And Errol is a guy that he really surprised me in that fight. And the prediction of Timothy Bradley, the 9th or 10th round, that sounds like it's going to be one hell of a fight. And I think what'll happen is if Errol Spence slows down, okay, Timothy Bradley could be right. Because then Terence will get his mid-range and he will start countering. And see, one thing about going to the body, it's dangerous. Because the punch you throw on the side that you throw it on, if you throw it here, you can get countered there, okay? So he's a southpaw. So I think Errol, if Errol rips down to the body, but you got to be careful because he can come right upstairs. And I think here's the thing that could save Errol. If Errol's strong enough to hurt Terence Crawford, which I believe he is, I think that would help. That would change the whole dynamic of the fight. He would have to stop Terence because I don't think he's good enough to really beat him. He would have to chop Terence down. And what'll happen with Terence, his whole thing is finding holes. Solar plexus, head, other side of the head, right up the middle. You know what I mean? Chin. It's a lot of areas that he looks for. And then if he catches you, he'll hit you with shots that you won't see, and he'll hit you in between your shots. Because when you're throwing a punch, that's when you're the most vulnerable, a lot of people. Versus defense, when you know a punch is coming, you're better, you can prepare for it, you can brace for it. But if you're throwing a punch, that's a totally different dynamic on how you take it. Okay, it's like, hey, it's hell when you're getting when you're getting punched when you're trying to ditch it out. So you just ditched out a punch, then you get caught with a counter, and then it's crazy. 9th round, 11th round, that would be dynamic. I don't know. I hope it's a stoppage on either way, because then we will know who won and who don't. It won't be some shit like, oh man, Top Rank or used to be Top Rank versus the PBC Fox Al Heyman clique, and then people will be torn, especially if it goes 12 rounds, okay? Because you don't know what'll happen. They're both undefeated. This is the time for it to happen. 38-0 with 28 knockouts. I think Errol Spence is like 29-0 with 23 knockouts. Both no losses, no draws, and it's crazy because these guys are just they're at their peak. They're at their peak. I think Terence Crawford has peaked, but the good thing is I think he's still in his peak. Whereas Errol Spence is a kind of guy that he's been good. You know what I mean? But then when you seen when he fought Sean Porter, even with Kell Brook, those type of fights are difficult for him. And Kell Brook gave him a lot of resistance, and he was that once beaten guy to Golovkin, which went way up there, which was kind of dumb. But if he would have pulled it off, it would have been great, but he didn't. He got broken up right at middleweight. He wasn't a middleweight going up there though. But fighting someone like Terence Crawford, I think Errol is going to learn more in this fight than he's ever learned in any other fight. Because with Errol, it's brute strength, consistency, and all overall power. With Terence Crawford, it's the ring IQ and it's the experience. And he hits you, but he hits you in a different way. He hits you to hurt you, not just to chop you down. Not saying he can't, but if you look at Terence Crawford will hit you with shots that you don't see coming. And he's long, he's wiry, you know what I mean? He will catch you, he's a switch hitter. And I think if Errol will be successful, I think it will be a thing where catching Terence in orthodox versus southpaw. Because if Terence Crawford moves to southpaw, it might be a little different and difficult for him. But it's crazy. It's like fighting 2 or 3 guys in there. Anybody that can adjust, it's like fighting different people in one fight, because you're like, oh shit, he's doing something different now. So, you know, 9th or 10th round, if it's going to be a stoppage on the hands of Terence Crawford, it would be that. Errol Spence, if he was going to stop Terence Crawford, it would be earlier. Okay? But anyway, I know people, you got to keep in mind that it is Timothy Bradley, but Timothy Bradley and Terence Crawford are close. So you know who he's favoring, you know. Of course, he favors Terence Crawford, you know, for a lot of reasons. He was at Top Rank forever. You know what I mean? He's the commentator for Top Rank, of course. So, you know, but it's an interesting theory. You guys tell me what you think about Timothy Bradley saying that Errol Spence gets stopped in the 9th or the 11th. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.